Okay, yeah, right. Geography. So we don't actually even start the show until then, but we start the live stream beforehand. So then it's kind of like when we have all our hashing out what's going to happen, and then Frankie McDonald shows up in 25 minutes, and then we hit record, and then we make the actual show that's produced out of that. Hello, Chris.
Hello, how are you guys?
Really good. Welcome.
Excellent.
Welcome. I'm Joey, and I'm the main host of the show here. I'm up in Wells, British Columbia. I was out on the back roads watching the Northern Lights a few weeks ago. Seen them many times. I'm the kind of guy who spends time outside. And so we have this show. It's comedy plus meteorology, Comedeorology. And generally what we do is that in 24 minutes when Frankie shows up, we hit the record and we just plow through an hour of conversation. And then I edit and hack that and cut that and add in videos. And I like your Millennium Falcon. As you can see, I have...
Oh, you've got a few too?
Yeah, there's about 90 something hanging in the gallery now. Oof. And they're all at the scale, right? So the big ones are at the bottom, and then the smallest guys are at the very top. And
very cool.
Once the fire gets going, they start spinning around, and so generally the order of the show is, I come on, I introduce everybody, and then Frankie gives his. We just let Frankie go, but before we let Frankie
chaos
go,
ensues.
Yeah, because you're the special guest, we're gonna have like the special guest introduction and take 4 or 5 minutes, ask questions. Then we're gonna let Frankie go for 10 minutes or so, and then we're gonna come back, spend some more time on you. Then Brandon's gonna give his weekly report, blah blah blah, and we'll come back and spend the rest of the show just free conversation. And from that, we'll make the radio show, TV show, the show.
The magic.
And it's getting warm enough in here now. I can actually take off my dirty old forest fire fighting hoodie and represent for you.
Nice.
Imogen has entered the room. So for everybody coming in on the live stream, this is Chris Ratzlaff, and he is an expert on the Northern Lights. So in the comments, anything you want to ask about Northern Lights, we're going to try to, throughout the show, talk about the Aurora Borealis and get all your questions as much as we can answered. I know a lot of people have a lot of questions. Yeah, I know. I'm really curious about, I've seen this many times, Chris, and we could talk about this during the show. When there's a hole in the center and everything's pulsing up towards the hole, and in the center you can see the stars. Explain that to me. Every time I've seen that, I'm like, that's my favorite.
So I think what you're probably describing is a corona when you're looking straight up, basically, at the aurora. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So you've got the corona, and then you'll have areas of I guess at one point it started getting called dark aurora, which is where the aurora is going up. You don't see it because it's a vertical feature, and that creates that hole. I think that would create what you're probably describing as a hole, and you're able to see the stars much more clearly than you would through the aurora itself.
Sometimes it's quite fantastic.
Often.
Another phenomenon I've seen. One time I was outside my cabin taking a leak, and I was in my underwear. It was like I woke up in the middle of the night, and it was like late November. It was below zero. It was very cold, but there I was peeing in the forest, and I looked over, and there was no leaves in the trees. I was in central Ontario. I grew up kind of north of Madoc, south of Bancroft. I looked over and was like, "Egad!" And then I knew right away what I was looking at, but it was this big.
Did you actually say egad?
Something to that effect.
Something similar.
It was a rectangle, and it was like, looked like the color of flesh, like blood, just a rectangle chunk of blood. Just, I was like, whoa, that's, I had to look at it for a while. What's that?
That would be egad. I don't know.
Okay.
Rectangular chunk of blood.
So of course
I'm thinking cabin in the woods kind of things. You don't live in a cabin in the woods, do you?
well, not so much now. I live in a lodge in Wells / Barkerville, British Columbia.
It's cabin like.
So Brandon, can you talk for a minute while I post the links?
Post links. Okay. So yeah, we've got some exciting stuff. I believe we'll talk about ChaserCon stuff too in this great episode.
Yeah, well, this is the ChaserCon episode, so lay it out.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So yeah, we'll talk about past ChaserCons. So it's always great going through the past, going into the future, so on and so on. The weather is going to be very boring this week, so my weather segment is going to be lame. Oh, but that's okay too.
It's okay that it's going to be tedious. Come on. A tedious day is good.
Yeah.
I live on a tropical island. It's nothing but blue skies and sun like 6 months of the year, and then it's just gray and damp and spongy the other 6 months. It's tedious. We don't have exciting weather. It's awful. It's boring. One decent tornado ripping through here, a sharknado, the occasional tsunami. It spice things up.
I'm looking at 2 feet of snow outside my house. I would be okay with sunny and blue sky.
See, I get a little jealous of the snow that everyone else seems to get. It's
Was that an invitation? Is that an invitation? Okay, let's have a look at the weekly report here in Wells. So the snowbank settled quite a bit with a little bit of warm weather. You could actually see Josh's car, and that's not a snowbank, actually. That's the snow. The machine put the snowbanks over there. And behind you can see is the actual snowbank from Pooley Street here in Wells, British Columbia, 4,000 feet above sea level. And that snowbank's as high as a front end loader. And we can tell that because the front end loader put it there. And I watched it and made video. And as per usual, mega fucking snow, Caribou Mountains.
Awesome.
You can walk on them. You can sled off my roof. I just need someone to come film it.
I'm in. Absolutely. I will film skiing off the roof anytime. I'll film it in summer when there's no snow, just for the fun of it.
Things are a little quiet for Northern Lights right now, I guess, for the next few days. Eh, Chris?
Next couple, yeah. Yeah, we're not really expecting much right now.
But we sure had a pretty exciting little go there.
Mm-hmm. The last couple of days are pretty good.
I saw that too. Oh, here, the Frankie image. This is great. I better show you guys this. Screen share. People love making pictures of Frankie. And there's Frankie.
Is that AI art? Is that an AI? I think so. Frankie?
It must be. I never considered AI, the powers of AI Frankie, what that could do to the world.
Dude, we're going to see Lawnmower Man. That's what's going to happen. Once they start feeding Frankie into the AI, we're going to get Lawnmower Man. It's going to get really strange. We're going to see a lot of 90s animation surrounding us. It's going to take over. Everything we see is going to be inundated with, like, Frankie is infectious. He is something else. He's an experience. Fascinating and incredible person. Like, the public image of Frankie versus behind the scenes Frankie, like, it's pretty interesting. He's an interesting guy. And the delivery of what he has to say it's captivating.
Speaking, we actually had Lawnmower Man at ChaserCon a couple years ago, didn't we? Yeah.
Really?
We did our own version, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's thinking of the one with bees in his mouth and stuff. Oh. And we're thinking of the guy in Alberta who was just super fucking cool.
Yeah.
What was that, Sundre or somewhere?
He's got a tornado.
Three Hills.
Three Hills, that's right. And they call it Three Hills because there's 2 hills there.
Mm-hmm.
So Tracey, good to see you. And I don't know if you caught kind of our rundown about how the show goes when we start. But so at 7:00 always, 8:00 your time, Frankie shows up. I run in with the whole rundown of the show and what's going to be and this and that and who's this and broadcasting and blah, blah, blah. And then because you're the special guest, we're going to have like 5 minutes off the top of just like, on this show this week, we're talking to these people. And, you know, Tracey and Chris give you the introduction, sort of say like what's going on in your world at a ChaserCon, Northern Lights, da-da-da-da. Then we go Frankie, and he's going to just wrap off his world weather, and it's going to be whatever Frankie is. And then we'll come back to you again and talk for a bit. And then we'll go Brandon and Imogen quickly to get their weather reports. And then we spend the second half of the show completely just in free conversation. And Brandon, I don't know how much of the interviews with these two you want to take over. I don't know why I'm holding a pair of scissors either.
You're just being menacing.
Yes, I am. So that's the rundown. And we air the show on some university stations successfully. And that's kind of the whole point. Whether people really watch the YouTube version and broadcast matters less than, say, at the University of Winnipeg, where those meteorology students I know are tuning in every week to our ridiculous show about the fucking weather. So, yeah, what do you got for TracerCon? Talk to us about the plans this year, Tracey, and give me an idea of how I should flow with this.
So far we have a location pinned down to the Pomeroy in Olds, Alberta. It's more of a rural location this year, just because I always hate parking in Calgary and the bigger centers, and so I picked rural Alberta when Chris gave me the rein to be able to make those decisions. It's on April 8th. We will start Friday. A few of us have hotel rooms booked on Friday night. So we'll kind of do more of an informal gathering, kind of get together Friday. Then the conference is Saturday. We have so many great people, like including Brandon himself, who will be on our media panel. We have David Spence, Kyle Britton. We have we have Ricky Forbes actually on the media panel this year. And then we have our Chaser panel, which includes Shannon.
Oh, yeah, Ricky.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just put it together.
Yeah. Ricky Forbes from Tornado Hunters. I better get that right when we're
one season show that they mostly didn't catch anything, but they were quite charming.
Yeah,
there was
exactly.
That one Saskatchewan storm they intercepted. That was when they weren't trying to intercept storms, and then they found themselves in Saskatchewan or something, and there was a real meaty tornado actually that crossed in front of them. A real precipitation, heavy, scary. Not the kind you want to be too close to.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's kind of what those guys do. It's not what I do, but I mean, there are people, even like we have Braden Morceau, who's also on the Chaser panel, and he likes to chase like that as well. So we have Jenny Hagen's going to be presenting. David Spence is going to be presenting. And I actually convinced Mike Scantlin to come up from Oklahoma to present for us too. So pretty fantastic. Yeah, there's Beth Allen's going to be on a panel. Of course, nobody really knows him, but Kyle Hetherington is going to be on the panel, that kind of thing. So, yeah.
It's a pretty good lineup. Totally.
Yeah. There's a lot of people. Tom Blue Moose is going to be on the panel. Pretty much anybody I could think of that was top of the line who I've chased recently with, I kind of picked to see if they would come and join us. So It'll
like-
be
it's like-
fun.
3 kinds of chasing, I guess, isn't there? There's the interception, which is like the Reed style, and like those guys, they're trying to like
Get into it.
Yeah. Then there's the sort of the chaser, and then there's sort of the how would you put this one? Some of my best success has just been going and setting up to where I just knew it was going to happen. And then a couple hours later, it was like, bam, like right on the spot.
Yeah.
You know, so that wasn't really chasing, and it wasn't really intercepting, even though I
That was
actually
luck.
No, it's just called being a target.
Yeah.
No, not necessarily. I mean, especially when you're sitting and watching cells on the Rockies, and they're doing that bubbling all afternoon, and you're waiting for them to kind of let go and take the run off across the plane. You can sometimes just get a visual on where to go park and wait.
Sometimes, if they don't die coming off the foothills.
I'm gonna have to ask you, of course, about like your good intercepts. Of course, you know.
I don't have any good intercepts. I don't want that. That's not. I want to be far out and taking photos. That's more my thing. The closest intercept I probably ever came up against was, I think it was 2 seasons ago. Braden Morceau and I went to Saskatchewan, and
that was your first fault.
I do that often though, and I hardly ever make this mistake. But we were chasing pretty far southeastern Saskatchewan, and he'd convinced me to like kind of drive further. We were in separate vehicles, so he'd convinced me to drive a little bit closer just to see what we were looking at a little bit. It was garbage. It was a garbage setup, and it ended up being massive hail. And I got stuck behind him, and a farmer actually came around, a local came around and saw his armored vehicle and stopped and to talk to him. But I was stuck behind him with the farmer blocking my only exit with like monster size hail coming at me. So I had to it was like a nightmare. So I had to literally text him to tell him to get the fuck out of my way, so that I could motor back west to get ahead of the hail. And then when I finally got out of it, he texted me, and he was the poor cows. You could hear the hail hitting the cows where he was. The hail was so huge. Like, it was just like, I'm so happy I got out of there when I did. But yeah, that was probably the closest I've ever been to intercepting any kind of massive storm. And that was too close. There's no way. No.
If it's not the big hail, like I have recollections of dodging, like going down some side roads. Like, I don't like the look of that. I'm going to go this way for a couple kilometers, and then coming back into Nanton, and then there's just cars that are just pummeled at the Esso when you first come in southbound, right? And like smashed windows and everything. And it's like, yeah, they just speed along at that obvious wall of 120k an hour. Just, oh my God.
Yep.
You know, and the other one's the lightning, of course, which I've been too close to.
I love lightning. It's something that I actually go out to shoot often, except for I'm terrified of the dark. So I won't go out on my own. And if I do, I'll literally put my tripod and my camera out my window, and then close my window and lock my doors. It's weird, but it is what I do. So when I have a chase partner, it's nice because then we can actually go out, but I also like to get my own photos. So I don't like to have the same photo as everybody else. So I also don't like to go out with chase partners. So it's a catch-22. That's why I bought a big dog, I guess. Take him with me.
Of course, I'm watching lightning a lot, not just out of long time storm obsession, but also because I'm a crew leader of wildfire crew. So every bolt of lightning is potential money in my pocket. Got to watch that stuff. Got to chase it. Sometimes I've been too close, and you notice like, wow, this place has burned before. And when you're on a hillside, like, Yeah, because lightning strikes the same place twice.
You must have been really busy a couple of years back. We went to the Okanagan and everything was just on fire.
Yeah, in 2021.
Yeah, I think that probably would have been when it was. Yeah.
I'm pretty busy a lot of years, but that was not many days off for long stretches. Yeah, that was a pay season.
Yeah.
And we spent most of that season at Cutoff. You can see almost any video you want of it at my YouTube channel. Spent 6 weeks at this Cutoff Creek fire south of Vanderhoof, and it grew to about 35,000 hectares. And what I liked about being at that fire for that length of time was I got to see everything happening and developing, right? And then it's different behaviors, settling, changing, growing, going over here, fighting the flanks, pushing, and just all the different. When sometimes you just show up for a tour and you get 14 days on a big fire, and then you're gone and you go to the next one after your days off, and you don't get that sort of larger feel for its behavior and the different kinds of moods it can be in. Okay, I think we got like 4 minutes to Frankie, so I'm going to do my quick, get myself quickly ready.
Frankie's entrance is always good. He comes in right at 7 on the button, and he's just so rapid fire, scatter shot. He's an entity. And then like at 8, when we're done, at 8 o'clock on the button, he's out. He just disappears. He just cuts his feed, and that's it. He doesn't say goodbye. He just is gone. He's here and then he's gone.
Mid-sentence?
Pardon?
Mid-sentence?
Oh yeah. Yeah, he's done that so many times, literally mid-sentence. He's just suddenly gone. Oh, by the way, Brandon, I love that you're wearing a picture of yourself on your shirt.
Oh, eh?
That is delightful.
I should wear this shirt more often. Yeah.
You really should. It's you're a cartoon.
Yeah. That's right.
Oh, Joey's back to his Star Wars stuff in the background.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome. Morbo may pop up a little bit. He was that's the cat that I had with me a minute ago. He sometimes wants to be up walking around on my keyboard, and then he just disappears. And right now he's just sitting on the floor staring at me, but does not want to be held in that truly cat-like way.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Ingrid, you for not holding him, but still wanting to be held.
Yep. He has his moments. He's just like, he needs to be held and cuddled and have his little hands played with. And then all of a sudden he's just like, no, what are you doing? Why would you even think I want this?
This is going to be so fucking fun. Of course, we got to like have radio friendly language and all that stuff.
Yep.
Get it out of our mouths now. Foul, filth, and foul, filth.
That's what bleeps and boops and clown horns are for.
I need like a. Did you see the one little video I made this week of hockey parents acting terrible? And to cover the swearing, I just used the sound of geese honking. And eventually, finally, at the end of the video, I just replaced all the adults yelling at each other with geese honking.
Awesome. It's the most Canadian form of censorship ever.
Sometimes with clips of geese quickly.
Yep.
In between. Yeah, you should watch my videos, Imogen. They're, yeah, I make them.
Excellent. Yes, you do.
Hi, Shelley Selinsky. Northern Lights questions for Chris. What makes the different colors in the lights? It's not government conspiracy, we found out. So we will ask him about that. Why does it seem like they sing sometimes? We'll ask him about that too during the show. Thank you, Shelley Selinsky, for the question. And those are good things. Okay, Frankie, any second now.
Yeah, it's 7 o'clock on the button. Frankie just texted.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah, that's Frankie again. I'm not even opening it.
I hope
Make
daylight
sure-
savings is. I think daylight savings is good because it causes a lot of people to miss church.
Awesome.
Frankie's gonna be late.
Oh my god,
Nice.
it's the one he's not here. Ah,
Okay, well, we're just going to start without Frankie.
perfect.
That's fine.
He'll come crashing in like the Kool-Aid man.
Yeah, he will. Good morning, Prince George. Good afternoon, Winnipeg. Hello, Kamloops. Potentially, hello, Victoria, and anywhere else. Hello, YouTube world. I'm Joey Only, the Caribou Weather Dude up here in Wells, British Columbia. You are tuned in to the Comedeorological Report. Comedy plus meteorology equals Comedeorology. It's our show about how much the weather sucks in Canada. And, well, actually, it's suddenly not looking quite so bad. Well, I mean, I still have 18 feet of snow outside here in Wells, British Columbia, but I chose to live in the mountains, so I get that. Some of you are experiencing really nice weather already in British Columbia, maybe other parts of Canada, not so much. I'm here with my panel of meteorologists, and you're going to hear us on CFR 88.7 FM, CKUW 95.9 FM, CFBX 92.5. Did I get that right? Okay. That's why Frankie sends the things in, right? So Frankie's a little bit late this week, but that's okay because we have special guests in. This is the ChaserCon Comedeorological Report episode, and it's celebrating the fact that now Brandon Houck and I can finally talk out loud about the fact that he's going to be a big guest panelist at the coming ChaserCon in Olds, Alberta. That's when storm chasers of all sorts are going to get together and talk about storms and things like that. So here on the panel tonight, we have esteemed organizer of such event, Tracey Dyck. We have Northern Lights expert, who's also part of the community of scientists for NASA. His name's Chris Ratzlaff. Guy knows everything about Northern Lights. It's going to be really fun. Of course, Brandon Houck, as always, and Imogen Cookie Bailey, our associate producers, back in, talk to us from Victoria. And anytime now, Frankie, who's unusually late, I hope the daylight savings time hasn't tricked him. It's quite possible. There he is, everybody. Frankie McDonald. You knew he wasn't going to be too far behind. So in a minute, we'll be talking to Tracey and Chris all about ChaserCon and about their chases. So very exciting episode here. Frankie McDonald.
I'm
You're
doing great
3
so far.
minutes late. Is everything okay?
Things are great.
Okay. Everybody, it's Frankie McDonald. How you doing so far?
I'm doing great so far.
And what's going on in the world this week, Frankie? How was that crazy storm you just had in Sydney, Nova Scotia?
It's really, really, really bad.
Okay.
Frankie is unusually quiet today. Frankie, is everything okay? Oh, Frankie's not okay.
Okay.
Oh.
Something's up with the Frankie world. So we got Tracey Dyck, Chris Ratzlaff. We'll start with Tracey because she's kind of taking the reins on ChaserCon this year. Tracey Dyck, welcome to the Comedeorological Report.
Thank you. We are planning a ChaserCon in Olds, Alberta for April 8th. We hope that anybody who has any even remote interest in severe weather, including winter weather, will attend the event. There'll be lots of familiar faces as well as new faces. We're really looking forward to it.
It's going to be a fantastic event, I'm sure, this year. Again, I like how you're
I'm doing
holding
great
it
so far.
in a
Somebody
rural.
tried to call me earlier. There's a lot of people trying to call me.
Oh, those people, those teenagers and trolls, Frankie. So tell me about this.
All the time.
Tell me about the storm this week, Frankie.
It brought 40 centimeters of snow up in Cape Breton Highlands National Park.
What else, Frankie?
Sydney, Nova Scotia only had 7 to 8 centimeters or so.
What else, Frankie?
Did you hear about this? They had a volcano in Indonesia.
Tell us all about it, Frankie.
It was really bad. Spewing volcanic ash up in the sky. It was so bad there. It's really dangerous volcano. Indonesia, going to Indonesia. And the Java Indonesia volcano is really, really bad. They had an earthquake off the coast of New Zealand. But they're going to bring some rain in New York City later on in the week and things like this. They had a flood in the Los Angeles area. It's cold outside in Sydney, Nova Scotia right now. It's cool outside in Vancouver, British Columbia as well.
Who's got the worst weather in the world?
A big polar vortex all across North America, Canada, and U.S. next week. There's a big giant storm going to develop later next week in the eastern United States and central U.S.
Hey, Frankie.
What's going on?
Hey, Frankie, how much lava came out of the volcano in Indonesia?
A lot of lava so far. It's been cold outside in UK and things like this. And lots of storms coming off of coast of Japan lately. And fall starts on March 20th in New Zealand. Spring starts on March 20th in Canada.
Very cool. Thank you, Frankie.
The sun's direct rays will be aiming at the equator on March 20th. 12-hour daylight, 12-hour darkness all over the world.
What else you got for us this week, Frankie?
And did you hear about this? They'll be finishing up skiing season in Canada as soon for most places. But once again, in the month of April, there'll be gradual transition from winter to summer.
Frankie, have you met our special guest tonight, Chris Ratzlaff?
Yeah.
Have you met Tracey Dyck before?
Not yet. Hi, Chris. Hi, Tracey.
Hi, Frankie.
I'm doing great so far. I'm Frank Dowd. I'm doing great so far. I'm the guy that does weather reports, dancing videos in my comedy videos on my YouTube channel. My most viewed video ever on my YouTube channel is Guy Tries to Eat 50 Hot Dogs at Once.
Awesome. Hey,
Who's
Frankie,
got questions? Who's got questions for Frankie McDonald this week?
Okay, well, I always do, but if anyone else has a question, please go first because mine will be ridiculous. Okay, I'll go. All right, Frankie, I got a question, and you know this is going to involve a shark. Now, if you threw an extra medium-sized shark into a volcano, how long would it take to cook it?
That means not that long.
Would it be minutes or seconds?
Seconds.
Very cool. And after a volcano goes off, like the one in Indonesia, how does that affect the weather for the next month in that area?
That's going to affect the whole world, even South America, North America, Europe, Asia, Africa, even Antarctica.
Yeah, if enough of that ash gets high enough into the atmosphere, that is possible. Certainly that's happened before with mountains like Mount Tambura.
Very cool.
Any other questions for Frankie McDonald this week? What other YouTube videos have you made this week, Frankie?
That means the video I did is Argentina got severe thunderstorms on Wednesday and Thursday. Buenos Aires, Argentina had severe thunderstorms, brought a chain of thunder, tornadoes in northern tip of Argentina. And Buenos Aires, Argentina, lots of rain and large hail in some places, possible tornadoes in some places in Argentina, northern Argentina this week.
What about Texas today, Frankie?
It's going to get really, really cold in Texas because the cold front's going through Texas, because the polar vortex will drag all the cold air down to Texas as well.
Seemed like there was some pretty good storm activity down in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, but I didn't see if anything actually developed there or not.
There was a pretty big funnel, but
That means that all tornadoes that can bring severe thunderstorms to get light rain, moderate rain, heavy rain, small hail, large hail, tornado, then dry slot. That's a diagram of severe thunderstorms.
Excellent. What's going on in Europe this week, Frankie?
All across is starting to get warm gradually over in Europe too. And over in Eastern Europe, it's still pretty cold out there right now. They had some light snow and things like this and flurries in Moscow and those places. And it's gradually getting warmer. In Siberia, weather is gradually getting warmer bit by bit. Once again, sometime in April, Siberia will be above freezing again.
And what about in outer space, Frank?
And lots of comets and asteroids up in the sky. Sun shooting more flares from the sun and things like this. that could disrupt signal states like this.
And that leads me to my next question, and that goes to Chris Ratzlaff. Welcome to the show. Chris, talk to us about the solar flares. It's kind of quiet right now, but it's been very active recently.
Yeah, it's quiet at the moment, but it's been getting more and more active over the last year or two. We're coming up on solar maximum in the next probably 3 years, and we should see more solar flares as that approaches.
Yeah, how about what was it, February 24th or 26th, something like that? That was quite a show everywhere.
Yeah, at the end of February. What did it get up to? Like KP7, I think was the strength of the Northern Lights, of the aurora. You're gonna basically see aurora down to the northern US with that kind of activity. So it was really, really good. A lot of aurora all night long, and people taking pictures across Alberta, across Canada.
I got some good ones, some good video before the snow started that night, which kind of ruined things for me. Yeah,
snow and aurora is never a good thing.
That's here in Wells. That's the way it is around here. So talk to me about your lifelong journey to get to this point where now you're a community, part of the community science for NASA. Just explain to everybody what this means and how you got to that.
Sure.
Because I mean, like for me, it starts when I was very little.
Mine started probably a little over 10 years ago. Being someone who always watched clouds for sure, always took photographs, but never really caught the interest, never really caught the bug until I saw a tornado, tiny little tornado from my backyard in Airdrie. And at that point, I realized that you can actually see that kind of weather in Alberta. You don't have to go down to the US. You don't have to go down to Tornado Alley to chase really cool storms. At that point, I started to try to figure out how I can figure out when to see the storms more often. Then you get into the winter and you don't have storms, and you look for something else to do. And Northern Lights is similar for me. Obviously, it's not quite the adrenaline rush of chasing a thunderstorm, but there are the forecasting, the predicting, trying to know when and where to be to see the Northern Lights. That is very addictive for me as well. And those two combined kind of set me on the path that got me to today. Being part of the Alberta Aurora Chasers, where we lead we're a community of people that are looking for the aurora across Alberta. Today we have almost 200,000 members, and that's been growing over the last couple of years. Spiked during COVID.
A couple few.
It's a couple few, but being part of that community, we had a lot of people watching the aurora over Alberta, and because of our position, we caught the interest of a few teams at NASA. We collaborated on a few research projects, co-authored a paper on the aurora phenomena known as Steve, and it just kind of kept on steamrolling from there.
Second. So that's encouraging to people who might be watching this that are part of Interior Weather and Wilderness Watchers. And that's where this all grew out of. Interior Weather and Wilderness Watchers is a project that I started here in BC because I figured when I looked objectively around, there just wasn't really good forecasting. That was a lot of attention paid to the interior parts of British Columbia. It's like if you looked at the Weather Network, you'd find Vancouver, Kelowna, Victoria, and then over to Calgary, and as they're covering Canada, right? And so I needed something that, if people are watching global or they're all from the big cities, and that's where people are getting their news from. The coastal forecast isn't here in central British Columbia, right? So I started this weather group, and now there's got like 15,000 people. And then I thought, well, I might as well make a YouTube channel that's cool. And like, well, I might as well make a show. I might as well find Frankie McDonald and make it the coolest show we can possibly make. So you're involved with ChaserCon. And so I'm going to kind of open the door for you and Tracey to talk about ChaserCon for a few minutes. And then we'll get to Brandon shortly thereafter.
I'm going to toss it over to Tracey because ChaserCon this year is all Tracey's show.
Thanks, Chris. We decided this year, after I think, what is it, a 3 or 4 year hiatus because of COVID, that we decided we wanted to actually make the event happen. So we planned it for a kind of a more of a rural location, which is very close to what is referred to as Hale Alley, which is Airdrie. So we figured what a better place to host it. We often go and eat dinner at the Boston Pizza in Olds after a chase because it's kind of a central location. So we planned it for the Pomeroy on April 8th. We have lots of amazing guests and guest speakers and panel members, including on our actual media panel. We have Ricky Forbes, David Spence, Kyle Britton, and Brandon, as you all know and love. We have David Spence presenting for us. Jenny Hagan from Saskatchewan is actually going to present for us too. She's going to more focus on winter chasing because she's been doing a lot of that, and not a lot of actual Alberta chasers chase snow, me included. I have no interest in being cold, which is probably why I don't like the Aurora either. I love them, I just don't like chasing them.
I don't have to chase snow, it comes right here.
Yeah, exactly. And we're not as bad as you, but we definitely have snow here, so I really don't. I can just sit with my cup of tea and watch my snow globes in the window. So she's going to focus on that, which is really, really cool. Then we have a chaser panel that's made up of Kyle Hetherington. He is from Calgary. Beth Allen, Tom Samantha, Shannon Bolesky, Braden Merceau. At the moment, we have maybe one other guest that will be speaking and on a panel, but that's kind of that's still up in the air. We're working on that one. It's a pretty big one, so I hope that it goes through. And then we have Mike Scantlin from Oklahoma is coming up. He flies drones into tornadoes all the time. He's chased with Reed Timmer, Sean Schofer. He's been in the Tornado Chasers TV series. So he's just a really good friend of mine, fantastic person. And then after everybody's presented and we've done all the panels, we're actually going to do our show and tell on the Saturday night, which people can then send in their photos from 2019 to 2022. And we will actually present them and go through them and let them tell us a little story behind them if they have a story. That's actually one of my favorite parts. It's going to be part of our social kind of gathering, and there'll be a cash bar. Plus the hotel is offering a discounted rate for anybody attending the conference. So it's going to be a pretty epic event, I think. I'm very excited. Epic. Pretty stoked.
Nice. Yeah. We're gonna talk to both of you a lot more this show. So please stay with us. We're really stoked on having you. It's the ChaserCon Comedeorological Report, Brandon. And people like you are going to be there on a stage.
On a stage, yes. I don't know how big the stage is, but but a stage nonetheless. Yes.
Thankfully, just big enough for you.
That's right.
Bigger than a radio booth.
Oh yeah. Yeah, stick me in the radio booth. I'll be good there. Yeah.
So yeah, you're speaking of radio booths. You were on 1,400 radio stations today.
Yeah.
You were sometimes with phones in one hand, talking on one, and dialing with your foot on the other. And what happened?
Well, apparently we had some people who were away who got sick today. So I'm pretty much last man standing here in the province. So somebody has to put on a show here in Drumheller, Brooks, and Blairmore. And then I was in Winnipeg today too. So, well, I was not in Winnipeg, but my voice was there. Okay.
Like, how sick do you have to be for radio to not go to work? I mean, come on, you just sit there and talk. How sick do you have to be to not go on the radio?
You
No one
lose
has
your
to see
voice.
your face.
Well, I've actually before COVID, I actually did do radio while I was really sick, and I was so stuffed up that one time. I sounded like a whole different person. No, everyone thought someone else was doing the weather. No, it was me.
I'm going to edit this part out, but I once did an entire episode at Co-op Radio completely high on acid and unable to talk. Luckily, it was a music show, so we played a lot of music that episode. So we'll cut that out. YouTube video watchers, you get to hear that one. So what do you got for weather this week, Brad? It's nice outside all of a sudden, at least for here in western part of Canada. And after all that misery that, we kind of got sideswiped a little bit by the atmospheric river, but not really hit right in the head.
Yeah, it's been we've had a couple pretty nasty we had that part of the atmospheric river out of California last Friday there. That was quite a wild event there with 13 centimeters of snow here in the Brooks area, and more so southeastern Alberta, and then that became quite a blizzard across Saskatchewan. I know I believe Jenny Hagen in Saskatchewan chased that one, that's for sure. So that was in right across southern parts of the province there, and then it moved off into Manitoba, and they've also had issues with blowing snow last number of days as well, closing down the what do we call that? I forget the name of that road around Winnipeg, but anyways, we'll figure that out later. So that's all highways around Winnipeg.
Main Street,
there you go, Main Street, that's right, something like that. So that's Trans-Canada Highway and right through Portage, like right through Winnipeg there. So that was this week as well. And then we had this, that was from that same snow squall we had go through Monday morning. That was quite a little snow squall that snarled the morning commute on Monday there. And then now the weather, we've got high pressure locked into place through the weekend into early next week. We're going to be dealing with nothing but sunshine, giggles, fog, and all depending on where you are in the prairies. So the eastern prairie is probably going to remain on the cold side through the weekend here. So they won't be warming up for the foreseeable future until maybe April, Saskatchewan, Manitoba. Meanwhile, we're going to warm up here in Alberta with daytime highs pushing near 10 degrees for the weekend, especially in the Lethbridge area, I'd say. And then we'll see that easterly flow kick back in next week. So that drops the temperatures right back down again. So that's about it. And there could be some fog issues. And there might be some chances of snow next week, but nothing too significant. So nothing but boring weather under high pressures. All we're going to see all next week here.
Excellent. Brooks Bandits quickly.
Oh, yes. Brooks Bandits, they're taking a break after going 53 wins, 5 losses for the season there. And so everybody else is playing hockey while we take a break because we're just too good at it. And we're going to be back on the ice March 24th for round 2 of the playoffs. We're not sure who we're playing yet, but a couple of big players, actually. Carson Kuhlman's got announced to be on the Columbus Blue Jackets a couple of weeks ago. So we've got another Brooks Bandit going to be in the NHL here. So that's pretty big news.
That is big news. So good news also for Prince George this week coming up. Look at it. It's highs of 7 degrees Sunday, 5 degrees and cloudy on Monday, but 9 degrees on Tuesday, 10 on Wednesday. It's still going to be below 0 some at nighttime, but hey, we are really coming into a more spring-like pattern. It's a slow crawling, creeping one, and it's not maybe the one you wanted, but it's not atmospheric river slamming us. It's not polar vortex owning us. It's pretty good, actually. Imogen, how is Victoria, British Columbia this week?
Another week of paradise. High of 12 tomorrow, low of 3 tonight, and then everything in between. Nothing but blue skies, a little bit of scattered clouds once in a while, when the weather's being extra moody, extra medium on the moody side. But other than that, it's just mild, mild, mild. Perfect for a seniors community because when your bones hurt, temperate weather is nice. Keeps things nice and even. So that is the upside to it. Hey,
dry weather's so much better for you. I don't know.
My arthritis is comfortable here. I'm good with it. It gets boring. I'd love to see a nice tornado just go ripping through this place, just make it exciting and just like throw trailers and sharks all over the place, yank a bunch of seashells out of the ground, whip them like ninja stars across the city. It'd spice things up. It'd be interesting. Flaming hail, a firestorm out of the sky, lightning blowing things to bits. But no, it's blue skies and blue ocean as far as the eye can see, and beautiful forested mountains to hike through, and clear streams full of fish. And
just to revisit your earlier question about how long it would take a shark to cook in a volcano, I don't think it's a matter of how long would it take to cook. It's more how long would it take to vaporize.
Well, I think I'm also more interested in how long it would take to eat the cooked shark. I mean, if it's an
and a volcano is not where you want to cook it, especially toxic gases. I mean, you could, by the time you get close enough to retrieve whatever cooked shark you have, you're probably going to die from inhaling really bad things that you're not supposed to breathe.
Well, naturally. But I also like...
I got to mute you, Frankie, because the wind is just blowing hard in it.
Oh, no.
But we'll unmute you as soon as you want to talk. Unmute yourself, Frankie. Okay. Were you going to say, Imogen? Cut.
Well, I love the idea of the Coriolis effect affecting volcanoes and making them flow backwards. Unfortunately, this isn't reality, but the actual other question that I have about that is for Frankie, and I'm hoping that we can circle back to that when he's got a little bit clearer space without the wind. Because the question I actually have is the rate of lava flow down the side of a volcano, such as the magnitude of what hit Indonesia recently. How would the difference in gravity on Mars affect the rate of lava flowing down the side of a mountain? Would it be faster? Would it be slower? Would it just sort of float around a little bit? These are questions that I want to know. How would different gravity affect a volcano going off? I do not have this information. And
does anybody on the panel have information about the gravitational effects of volcanism on other worlds? I would think that Chris Ratzlaff might be the best person to ask because he talks to people from NASA quite frequently.
Can we phone an astronaut and ask? Does anyone have Chris Hadfield's number?
You can't phone an astronaut. They can't get the phone past the...
You know what? I have one of those helmets and I've had no problem getting things in, but maybe that's just my helmet modified for non-standard use. Oh, I think we lost Joey. Oh dear.
Joey left?
Joey froze and left. He has never frozen on camera before. Joey is a seasoned performer, so I'm going to blame technical problems because he does not freeze. Joey knows what he's doing.
Oh boy.
So what do you do in this kind of scenario? Do you hand it over to Frankie?
Well, we just wait for Joey to show up again. Oh, there he is, sideways.
I have no idea what happened there. I was in the middle of saying something funny and I had my hand like this, and then suddenly I was just frozen, and it's like I frozen right before the punchline, and now I can't even remember what I don't even remember what we were even talking about. Chris Ratzlaff, Tracey Dyck, I would love to hear some of your great chasing stories. This is the second half of the Comedeorological Report. This is the part where we talk. Why am I sideways?
I don't know.
What have you done?
You guys talk and I'll figure this out.
All right.
Actually, I have a question. When did ChaserCon start? And what was the turnout like at the first one versus the projected turnout for this one?
First one was 2015 in Regina.
Oh yeah, Regina.
And I think we had probably 40 people show up to that one.
Okay.
So it was modest. It was the very first one. We had Regina's also not. I mean, Regina's like right in the middle of where all the prairie storm chasers are, right? So you got Manitoba and Alberta are equally distant from Regina. So it seemed like a great place to get everyone to go. Turned out that we had about, I think, 25 people coming from Alberta and about 15 from Manitoba and maybe 3 or 4 from Saskatchewan. So it was pretty quiet compared to what we were expecting. The next year we had it in Edmonton, and we had over 100 people attending in Edmonton. So we over more than doubled in size. Edmonton's a really good location because it has a meteorology school in the city at the time. The year after that, we did it in Calgary. Had about, I think, 80 people attend in Calgary. Following that, we did it in Winnipeg. So we've been moving it around Canada, looking for different locations. Winnipeg, we had about 50 people attend there. And then in Calgary, so far we're at about, ticket sales are at about 45 so far, which is modest compared to some of the previous years for sure. But we are coming back from pandemic, and it is, it's, pardon me? Oh, yeah. So we got about 45 tickets sold so far. We've got, I think, another 3 weeks to go, Tracy. Oh, we're at 3 weeks.
And then with the panel members and everything, I think we're at like 47 people that will be there. And then we'll get the last kind of like people signing up last minute.
And to be fair, when in the previous ChaserCons, this is about the point in time where I really just started thinking about planning it. Tracey has been so much more ahead of the game than I ever have. Tracey's been planning this for the last 4 or 5 months now.
I think I've been planning this for the last 2 years, Chris.
Fair enough.
Wow.
We started talking about this like 2 years ago.
So for listeners out there who might want to go to ChaserCon and you think, well, 44 tickets, that's not too happening. But, think of it this way. It's like, before more tickets sell, get your chance to get yours. And if a lot of tickets don't sell, you might get a chance to be at something that's intimate and close and get to really have access to people that you want to talk to, right? So don't be discouraged, anybody out there, from going to ChaserCon yet, simply because ticket sales aren't that high so far. Is that a good way of putting it?
Oh, absolutely. I think, like I said, we typically didn't even start selling tickets in the previous events until about now. So we've still got a whole 3 weeks to go, right? There's a long runway left yet, and it'll be a pretty wild event. Given who's coming so far, I'm excited just for that.
Me too. Me too.
And like you say too, is you come out of transition out of winter. Now is the time where I'm starting to my April. I haven't quite opened my brain about, but I have to go to wildfire training. And it's like, bam, spring things are happening all of a sudden. It's like time to completely change gears. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So I got a question for you about ChaserCon. How many children born so far can be directly traced back to ChaserCon?
I think a lot of us are past the childbearing age that attends. So I don't know that a lot of children have been born as a result of ChaserCon.
big romances, long-lasting love found.
No, not.
I'm aware.
Make something up. It's a comedy show.
Michaela and Aaron, but that has nothing to do with ChaserCon. Maybe.
Woohoo!
Oh
But-
boy.
There you go, folks.
But yeah, no, I don't know that there's actually a lot of connections, romantic connections, anyways, that have happened through our groups.
So it's a little bit different than the music festivals I've
Yes.
mostly worked in my lifetime.
Yes.
Oh, come
A
on.
lot
Storm
of
was
children came from the Arts Wells Festival here in Wells,
sexy. Come on,
including
storms
my
are
own.
sexy.
Yeah,
They really are. This is the fun of chasing a storm. This is the fun of almost being hit by lightning. It's yeah.
I don't
But
know
then
that
again,
I would ever call that fun.
Fun is
Lightning
another thing,
is
yeah.
terrifying.
The last time
It
I got dinged good, I thought it was pretty fun. Yeah.
You said the last time that implies there's been more than once.
Yes. Yeah. The first time I was quite little and quite terrified for a long time
And the
after.
second time, not as much terrified.
Once my heart stopped beating at about 200 beats per minute, and I could finally catch my breath, and I said, that was effing awesome. But
you said let's
This
do it
explains
again.
a lot.
It kind of does.
well, I don't know. It's like, did the lightning make me left-handed and both my kids? Or was I destined to put myself into bad places?
Probably that one.
Because of my left-handedness. Tell me about your close calls. Let's hear close call stories.
Oh, on the lightning subject, actually last season we were chasing out in Saskatchewan, and I'm pretty good at staying out of the core and staying out of the hail, but because I kind of stay in that general area, I'm also really into the lightning area and where the lightning strikes tend to typically like boom, 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 boom. So there have been so many times, and that one in particular, where like lightning was striking everywhere around me, and it was the most terrifying thing. Like, I can stay away from a tornado, but you can't predict where lightning's going to strike. So like when it's like hitting everywhere, you're literally like, I'm not a religious person, but I'm holding on to my steering wheel, praying to a God that I maybe don't believe in, that I don't get hit by lightning. Like it's pretty terrifying at that point. So I think that would probably be like one of my like get your heart beating moments with chasing.
Well, and that's the one you can't predict, right? Because it just happens where it happens. I mean, you might have your hair stand on end for 10, 20, 30, 40 seconds beforehand.
Tracey's had that
up and
too.
down
Tracey's
as
had
it's
that
feeling
too.
around, trying to figure out which one of you it wants to kill the most.
Yeah, Chris has a story about that. What were we?
Well, my
last
story
year?
is about you, but
2 years ago.
2 years ago, 21. Yeah.
We were all hanging out on the side of an approach, and all of a sudden everybody runs away from me, and I am just standing in the middle of all of these metal vehicles, and everybody is now in their vehicle. And I look around, and Beth starts yelling at me that my hair is standing up on end, and and everybody just scattered. So then I duck down, try to get as far down to the ground as I possibly can. I'm 4'11", so like that's not hard. And
You're the tallest thing in the prairie, though.
But yeah, my hair was standing up and nobody else's was. There was plenty of taller people, but yeah, so I've had that happen. Didn't get struck by lightning though.
It does. It feels around sometimes, right? And I seen that where on another occasion, not one of the ones where I have this mole here and it's got extra thick hair, and if those hairs are standing up, I'm like, uh-oh. And where it was doing that, and I was like, but at my mom's house in Ontario, the trees are really tall and the forest is all around. You can't really, and it's sunny right above, so and I'd run in the house and get down, and it's like 45 seconds goes by. I'm like, okay, maybe. I'm like, holy. So it might have taken 45 seconds or a minute or more. I don't know. In that case, right? So, yeah, but you trust the mole hairs. But that's the thing, right? Is you see it standing, you might have time still.
Yeah.
And you might not, and nothing might happen.
Yep.
That's that uncomfortable moment of silence that happens every episode for a second while everyone resets.
I really wish that we got bigger storms around here. Like, it's so rare that it happens. I mean, we just don't, which is weird. I mean, I'm on the southern tip of an island on the farthest part of the coast. It's apparently everywhere else gets storms but along here, but we just have this little pocket of sanctuary where it's extremely rare. Like we get one lightning storm a year that's exciting and exotic.
I'd hate it.
Although to be fair, I was swimming in a lake one time when a lightning storm happened, and we were watching the lightning get closer, and it was summer, so the lake was really busy. There's lots of people there, and just watching people gradually get out, and we're all kind of playing chicken almost with like, who's going to be the last to get out? Are we going to get cooked in the lake? And, you know, and at some point I'm like, me and my buddy are kind of like, all right, we'll go to the edge of the lake, but we're not getting out yet. And then eventually it's getting really close. We're like, okay, now we're either going to keep doing this and win a Darwin Award, or we're just gonna, you know. So we did get out before it got too close, and we did leave before it was too late. And we did hear that lightning hit the lake later that day. Like it was a weird storm that lasted long, and it was intermittent lightning, and we're all in the water. We're like, all right,
if you can hear the thunder,
yeah, we're like, is it gonna hit us?
You are at big risk.
Weirdly, we're like ducking in the lake, like, is it gonna hit us? It made no sense. It was the most irrational, like, all of us were suddenly, our inner 8-year-old came out. We're like ducking from things that you don't duck from. But at the same time, we're like, no, you get out. No,
the nature of lightning is it can hit in one spot and 40 cattle can be killed, right? So it's not like, you know, and that's my experience. I felt it before I saw it. You know, I didn't get pummeled in the head, right? But nonetheless, when it's anywhere near you, you're at risk. And if you can hear it, you're at risk. So
yeah,
that's some near misses. Chris, Tracey, favorite moments.
Oh, I think my favorite moment still to this day will be when I think it was back in 2019. There was supposed to be storms. It was, I think, late June, and there were supposed to be storms throughout the day, and there were a few that I dished out on work to go and chase, but then they just like they fizzled out. And so then I would go back to my office and go work for a couple hours, and then I would go back out the next cell that I saw and go and see if anything would happen, go back west and get a good look, and then it would fizzle out and I'd come back. And I think it was on my like 4th time where I was like, okay, you know what, last time I'm gonna go and look. And there was just this giant supercell over Water Valley, and it was just where I was just the perfect location. And I just sat there for half an hour time-lapsing this thing, just spinning and spinning and spinning. It was the most glorious moment. Like that to me is why I chase, is just like that, sit back, you know, and just let this thing come towards you and just watch all of this, like this glorious scenery that it doesn't get much better than that. So, I mean, I've seen tornadoes, I've shot lightning, I've done a lot of stuff, and that probably still is one of my most favorite moments with chasing.
Well, and often it's like the last memory is often the one that you kind of call on the most, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's, you know, for me, it was our fire creating a thunderstorm and watching it, and a very angry one. That was a great one. What about you? Yeah. What about? Yeah, it was pretty cool.
I think my favorite moment, same place as Tracey, around the Dog Pound, Water Valley area in Alberta, just northwest of Calgary, pretty much my backyard, Tracey's backyard. We get some amazing storms that run through there. But for me, it was an afternoon in 2019. My favorite moment was an entire afternoon where we had, I think it was there were 3 definite supercells that ran through the exact same path, from basically Water Valley to Airdrie is the path that they took, about 150 kilometer stretch. And you'd follow one, get to Airdrie, turn around, head back to Water Valley, follow the next one, turn around, head back to Water Valley, follow the third one. It just keep on doing this loop it was the perfect afternoon. And then after it was all done, because I was pretty much at home, we'd go out for drinks afterwards and have a nice evening talking about these storms that were your perfect supercells. They were low precipitation, which means we could see a lot of the meso. You see this perfect structure going straight up and back to back to back. Great afternoon.
That's so cool in the Rockies too, when it's just like, first it forms and finally gets big enough and angry enough, it lets go and off it runs. And then if it's early enough in the day, the next one starts. And I remember Tracey was talking about lightning earlier, and we were in Nanton because I lived in Nanton for a while, and we're getting drunk at the Auditorium Hotel in the afternoon. And there'd been a pattern of thunderstorms that year going on, the usual 5, 6, 7 o'clock when you start to expect them. But as we're watching and the weather network's on and we're hard into a pitcher of beer, another one, and like, holy shit, this is happening. So then I grab somebody who can drive and we take off into the pasture lands and dodge all this hail, and this really wonderfully rotating wall cloud comes out, but then on the backside, like just the most magnificent blast of rain and hail and lightning, just bam, bam, bam. It's like you've seen a lot of storms where lightning is happening frequently, and sometimes seconds it's going on, but then it's often in the clouds. A lot of that. These are just like straight strikes, like boom, boom, going on for, and then I just had to go to the bathroom so bad, sitting there in the van, like terrified to go out and be the tallest thing in the prairie, open the door and go stand anywhere near a fence line. Like, so I do know how not to get struck. Don't connect yourself with a stream of water to the earth when that's going on. Okay. We got a couple questions from the gallery. Earlier, Shelley Selinsky was asking what makes the different colors in the lights. Some conspiracy people on Interior Weather and Wilderness Watchers there. I'll paraphrase in kind of their voice, more or less. It's the government making the colors in the Northern Lights these days. It's the HARP project. They's making the colors. There was never the colors before. And, we know that's not true. And that's not Shelley Selinsky's question. She's just asking what makes the different colors in the lights. But that's my little salt and pepper on it.
So what makes the colors? It's altitude is really what it comes down to, is the different altitudes that the elements involved in aurora are getting lit up at. So your lower altitudes, you've got pinks, then greens, purples, and reds at the top end. Excellent.
I hope that answers your so climate change is not affecting the aurora, and it's not HARP, and it's not and it's always happened. And especially when you get into periods where there's more activity, there sometimes has been years where you see the lights at night, but you don't see that good of a show.
No, you need a really strong show to see the colors. Green is obviously the most common. Green occupies the most amount of area for the aurora to light up. So with a weak show, you'll see green quite a lot. When you're up north, like, Alaska, Yellowknife, and because they get aurora all the time with weak aurora, so you'll see green up there quite commonly. It's when the aurora gets much stronger and it gets higher in altitude. That's when you'll see the purples and the reds.
Excellent. So Tracey, do you know who Kyle Hetherington is?
Oh no.
See, they have a question.
Oh no, don't read it. Don't read it. Don't do it. What a
Okay, I won't read it.
Kyle.
If that's what you want. But
I'm gonna read it.
It does cause me to think that maybe there is more to my question about romantic con chasing.
What did he say? I'm curious now.
You want to know? Okay. I have a question for Tracey. I think that you are quite swell, and I think that we should get married. That's not a question, however. Kyle.
What kind of is?
That's not a question, Kyle.
I thought it was gonna be way worse than that. That's pretty calm. I'm okay
And
with
then,
that.
well, a little further down, he says, in capital letters, but no question marks. I'm not sure if that's a question either. What about us?
Oh, fun.
That is fun. Frankie McDonald, do you have questions about Northern Lights?
Northern Lights takes place up in Northwest Territories, and if none of that happens to Cape Breton Island, they get Northern Lights in Churchill, Manitoba, Yellowknife, Northwest Territories, Whitehorse, Yukon, Calloway, Kilcoot, Daldo Heaven, Greece, Jordan, Alert, and all these places. And up above the Arctic Circle, they get a lot of Northern Lights, so Northern Quebec and Northern Saskatchewan and Northern Alberta, including Fort Smith, Northwest Territories, Hay River, and Dawson Creek, Fort St. John, Fort Nelson, Watson Lake, Beaver Creek, Whitehorse, Dawson, Yukon, and all those places, Inuvik, Katoyota, Fort McPherson, and all these places up in Northwest Territories and Northern Yukon as well, including Anchorage, Alaska, Fairbanks, Alaska, Juneau, Alaska, and all these places. They're getting Northern Lights up there, including Fairbanks, Alaska, up in Northern Cape, Alaska, and places like this, and Greenland, Denmark, like New Greenland up in Denmark, Norway, Finland, Sweden. They get Northern Lights there.
We even get them here in the Northern Caribou Mountains. Although not the show that just on the other side of the mountains. So we got the Caribous, and then you get the valley down to Robson, and you just go over the mountains there, and you're in Alberta, and they just seem to get all the luck. How come we don't get the luck?
They even got Northern Lights up in Salvabar, Norway. That's where Top Sea Fault up in Salvabar, Norway. That's where Global Top Sea Fault is located in one of the islands in the Arctic Ocean in Norway.
I mean, we do see them frequently, but how come we don't get the luck here, Chris?
That's just your bad luck. I mean, I guess you get lightning, so.
Yeah, we do get a fair bit of that. And I mean, people south of us in BC, they almost see nothing, quite frequently. So at least
that's somewhat due to the curve of the aurora around the North Pole. It curves north as it comes over Alberta. So southern BC, not in a good place at all.
No. And anywhere up here around Quesnel, Prince George.
When an aurora happens, and like Northern Lights, they get them in Labrador City, Wabash, and Goose Bay, Maine, Newfoundland, Labrador, all of the Labrador region, Newfoundland, like Goose Bay, Happy Valley, Goose Bay, and those places, they get Northern Lights. So it's Chicoutimi, Quebec.
Now, what are the chances that the Northern Lights end civilization as we know it?
And Northern Lights is long before the time of humans, long before the time of the dinosaurs too.
Yeah, but what's the chance that the Northern Lights wipes out civilization as we know it? As we know it.
That's very much chance wiping out civilization.
Like if the Carrington event happened.
It's just like a 1909 Turkish event somewhere in Siberia. It caused a lot of forest fires and everything because the meteor fell in Siberia in 1909. When the meteor broke up the sky to hit Siberia, it burnt a lot of trees down in 1909.
Yeah, it did that. Hey, Chris, what do you think about, are you stoked for the chance for a Carrington event to happen so that it's like the ultimate Northern Lights spectacle? But the price is we might lose all, radio, electric communications and,
It'd be great to watch, but then I wouldn't be able to process my photos afterward.
That's a good point, eh? It would just wipe the slate.
It would wipe the slate. You have to get an analog camera.
And what's wrong with that? You can't go wrong with
Hard
film.
to find now. It's pretty hard to find film and analog these days.
Yeah, they're in the drawer with the 8 tracks.
In the refrigerator.
Buried within arm's reach around me, I have an 8-track. I've got a whole pile of cassette tapes right. I'm not going to move the camera around to show this off, but yeah, there's literally a record player right beside me. I appreciate old school.
8-track cassette you've got too?
Yeah.
that haven't been eaten up by the 8-track player?
Yeah, there's the stereo setup that's right
Lies.
next to me has an 8-track player in it. It works. I've played 8 tracks on it like about 2 months ago, and it has the record player in it sucks out loud, like it needs maintenance, but the 8-track player still works. And the stereo in my living room is straight from the 80s, cassettes, record. Yeah, the CD player on it sucks, but
Well,
the
as we
tape deck works.
digitize more and more information, knowledge, and our progression of our civilization, an event like this could wipe the slate. It could really set us back into it. Is that a fair thing to think? That some distant point of the future, they're not keeping things on hard file on paper, and Harper's burning libraries.
So to be fair, I'm going to go really old school here. And
Well, you don't have to.
no. See, this is a gramophone record. I have a gramophone player in my other room that was built in 1914. And the audio on it, the volume is controlled by moving the little cabinet doors. This does not play very well on a standard record player, and it's got a counterweight on it. So if you put a regular record on the gramophone, it'll scratch because the needle is way too heavy. It's straight up steel. So yeah, this is
Okay, well, there you go. Yeah.
Richard Crook's The Sweet Mystery of Life gramophone record. I got like a whole
You
book
can't
of
contain
gramophone
it.
records. Yeah, whole book of gramophone records, and there's like 40 more in the other room. Like,
I've
old
only
school,
got a
man.
gramophone around here, but we are at that point of the show where we got to start cutting her down real quick. And thanks very much, Chris Ratzlaff, for coming in. Thanks very much, Tracey Dyck, for coming on the show. Please come back anytime you'd like. You're always welcome. And we want to know how ChaserCon goes, and get us footage, Brandon, of course, so that we can put it on the show and report to the world around. Frankie, how does everyone find you on the world of the internet?
My Twitter is @FrankieMacD. My Facebook is Frankie MacDonald. My Instagram is FrankieMacD1984. My TikTok is FrankDown1984. My Clapper is FrankDown1984. My Twitch is FrankDown1984. My YouTube channel is Docs Wolves. My LinkedIn is Frankie MacDonald. And my Snapchat is FrankieMacDon. Best luck, yeah. I'm Frankie Down. You're listening to the Joey Only Show every Thursday night. You guys will see me on Base Sky Show tomorrow at 4 p.m. Atlantic Standard Time, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. You guys will see me on Base Sky Show tomorrow at 4 p.m. Atlantic Standard Time, 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow.
And that's the show. I'm Joe. And for the week of March 16th, 2023, your show about how much the weather sucks in Canada. Great show, I thought. And we were wonderful. Good job, Brandon Howe. Good job, Frankie MacDonald. Good job, Imogen. And thanks, Chris and Tracey Dyck, for coming on. Any last words to say before I hit the off?
Thank you for having us. And
Agreed. It's been a great time.
Aw, thanks. Okay. That's the show for this week, everybody. Bye.
Yeah, bye.
All right. We're still live streaming at least, and oh wow. I'm just not going to read any more of the comments for a little while. You ruined it, people, with your comments. And here's Hilding sending me like really long explanations as to why he's not on. It's like, I'm producing a show. I can't read your
Don't
messages.
care.
Like you got to figure that out like Monday. But love you, Hilding. Too bad you couldn't be with us. But I can't read your message mid-show. I can't do that. I can't respond, especially if I could. And also what I can't do during the show is go to the bathroom.
Well, I mean, you can. We don't need to see it, but you can.
No one would
It's
know.
almost like that time I was in the field there outside Nanton, just off of Lance Larry's quarter section, and the lightning was hitting everywhere, and I was like, ooh. And also what happened during that storm is some fucked up dog just came out of nowhere, and we didn't know we're like parked there, and the storm's just like going on for 10, 15 minutes. And then we go to drive away, and then we immediately hear like this. Wah! So we like, and there's this strange dog that was like underneath the truck. It was, it must have been out for its daily walk around the different ranches out there. And then suddenly it's just like, had nowhere else to go but under our truck as all hell broke loose. But I'll be right back.
Well, okay.
Hey,
Apparently he'll be back.
he'll be back. Well,
Awesome.
he's got to shut it down somehow. I don't know. Something like
Yeah,
that.
eventually. Yeah.
Yeah.
8:00 on the button. Frankie's out.
I was gonna say you called it. He just disappeared.
It was really weird that he was even late. Like I think that because he was having a bit of tech problems, he didn't get the link in the correct group, because
Yeah.
Joey usually sends it out to a couple of different chat threads. And I think that Frankie kind of missed I think that his messenger wasn't loading properly, because he is never, he showed up at 7:01 once and we kind of panicked. We're like, why? This is weird.
Yeah.
Brandon, you're going to be on the panel at ChaserCon. What's your role? What are you doing? What are you talking about?
Talking about the weather.
Are you going to wear the shirt with the picture of yourself?
I don't know yet. Maybe another shirt. I don't know.
With a
Maybe
picture
my
of yourself?
jacket. I don't know.
Well, fine. I think you should be wearing the shirt with the picture of yourself. The
I'll
novel
probably wear that. I got like 5 of them in here, pictures with my shirt with my face on them. So, yeah.
Awesome. So, which panelist are Tracey, Chris? Which panelist are you most excited about seeing or speaking to?
Oh,
Brandon doesn't count.
I think, well, all of them for different reasons, and that's the reason why we picked the panel members the way we did, was because each of them brings something completely different to each of the panels. Like each of the media individuals are bringing something completely different. Like Brandon brings radio, and he brings weather reporting as well as chasing. Ricky does tours, which is something that none of the other panel members do, and also chases. And then you have Kyle Britton. He brings he worked for the Weather Network, so he has a lot of that in your face actual on-site reporting for the media panel. And then you have David Spence. Well, I mean, you don't even need to explain why he's on there. He brings everything to the table, right? So
Yeah.
I'm just really, really excited to hear what each of them have to say about their experiences with weather, and what they're excited for their future too, and what they feel they're gonna do moving forward.
Very cool.
Yeah.
That's going to be a fun one. So where again is it going to be?
It's in Olds, Alberta. So it's about, I would say, 45-ish minutes north of Calgary, right off of Highway 2, so pretty easily accessible. It's at the Pomeroy in Olds, so the hotel's really nice, and they have a pool there. So I know that a lot of the people that are coming are probably going to get us in a lot of trouble, and I hope not, but
they're going to get you in a lot of trouble.
Hey, they have your credit card, Chris, not mine.
Awesome. Is there a website set up for how do you get tickets for it? Where do we find information?
We used to have a website, chaserconcanada.ca, but that hasn't been maintained. That is a casualty of COVID. The best place to find it is on our Twitter account, which is also ChaserCon Canada.
Okay. Awesome.
There's an Eventbrite page. You can also, I think, search for it on there too to get your actual tickets.
Oh, okay. Good to know. That's probably a link that we should post when we post the episode. Hey,
That'd be
Joey.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Although I feel like Brandon's going to be pretty active with posting all the relevant links if he hasn't already.
Perfect. Yeah, we're really excited that Brandon actually agreed to come. I was hoping he would, but I know that being far away and whatnot, that it might be difficult. And you're so busy with your weather forecasts and your radio personalities and everything like that, I'm really excited to have you back to ChaserCon.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Was it Calgary? Was Calgary the last one?
My first
Regina was the first.
That was when I was on the panel. Yeah, that was my first time publicly speaking that time.
Oh wow.
Huh.
Okay,
How did
must
that
have been
go?
fun.
Were you nervous?
A little bit. Then I started the microphone, and
He was not nervous at all.
once they gave me the microphone,
It was chaos.
absolutely.
What did we do?
That's what I think with Kyle Hetherington and him being on the panel this year. So he'll be that personality. What did we do? Is exactly what I'm thinking.
Awesome.
So that was the first one there, and then I kind of hosted the panels in Edmonton and Calgary there for a couple of years.
Mhm.
And then I actually got invited into Calgary Science Center there. That was 2014. That was almost 10 years ago. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that was with Adult Night at the Science Center.
That was our first. The Science Center has like adult only night.
Yes.
Which is 18 and up, and they had a storm chasing afternoon, and there must have been about 15 storm chasers from Alberta
Oh yeah.
at that, and Brandon came out. That was really good.
And there was beer. That was good.
There was beer.
I still don't feel like Brandon's old enough to drink.
Oh
No.
yeah, I look that way, but yeah, I've been old enough for quite some time.
Me too.
Yeah, you still giggle and turn pink like you're not. So I don't buy
And I'm
it.
old
I wanna
enough
see some ID.
to not drink anymore. That's how old I am. I'm well into the 40s and living that second life.
Mhm.
Yeah. What else was I was going to say something else, but I forgot it. It's been that kind of a day.
Does it involve volcano barbecuing a shark? I mean, I'm really fascinated by this concept. Like,
At the Science Center?
sure, if you want to do it at Science Center, but then they might not appreciate you launching off a volcano in the middle of their parking lot and destroying the building in the township, but whatever. You can go all Pompeii if you need to. That's on you, Brandon.
On me, hey?
Good luck getting the insurance for that kind of an event.
We have active volcanoes pretty close to here, but all of them are nothing that extreme.
Well, that's disappointing. They're not very active then, are they? They're lazy.
Well, it's not just that, it's that their history when they've been active has been one of only moderate activity, such as the Nazco fields and Wells Gray fields. Like, I think if a new cone kind of surfaced near the town site of Clearwater or something, then maybe you'd have something to talk about. But no, these aren't the kind of volcanoes that cause the disruptions that you're generally associate with volcanic activity.
Okay.
Disappointment.
Slow brooding ones that just slowly have emitted magma when they, like the Nazco cone. You can see a video on YouTube about the Nazco cone. One thing you don't have at ChaserCon represented is anybody from the world of wildfire.
I was just gonna ask if you guys do any weather forecasting to kind of predict whether or not you're gonna have a busy season.
Oh, weather is everything in the world of fire.
Yeah.
You know, and that's definitely part of why I got to where I am in the world, right? So
Yeah. So do you guys have your own team of forecasters, or do you just kind of go with what Environment Canada is issuing?
no, BC Wildfire Service has their own meteorologists. Absolutely. And we get spot forecasts for every region during active fires. And then on most fires, there'll be someone who's putting back weather data. So that's taken with a Kestrel and a wet bulb and, setting back temperature, humidity, wind speed, direction.
Very cool. Sorry, my dog's drinking water, and I don't know if you can hear that, but he literally is the loudest drinker I've ever heard in my entire life. So I muted myself.
But
I think
the
I can
real
I think Joey froze.
Oh boy, he looks confused about it. Sweet. All right, I gotta get going because I gotta go get into another thing I gotta do. So this has been
Okay.
awesome. It was super cool chatting with you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah,
thank
you too. Yeah, I have to go put my kids to bed. So
Okay. Yeah,
All right.
thanks for coming on. It was, I think, a good show. Oh, yeah.
awesome.
Joe.
Joey's backing sideways again. Awesome. All right, well, have a good night. I'll talk to you guys later.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bye,
See
Imogen.
ya.
Bye.
Well, I guess now that we're not filming properly, it doesn't matter if I'm there. You happy, camera?
There we go.
That is so unprofessional. God.
I'm going to drop off as well, guys. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Yeah, it's that time. And we lost Tracey too. Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
It's just Brandon and I.
Yeah.
So do you like stuff?
Oh, yeah, I do like stuff. Yeah. I have to say, it was kind of nice not having to do all the talking after all that talking today. That's pretty much what I've did since 4 a.m. this morning. Talk and talk and talk and talk all day. Yeah.
Did you see that scene from Scanners where the guy's head explodes?
Oh.
Okay.
Kabooyah.
Well, I guess that it's time to make something to eat and
Time for
get on.
Brandon to go to bed.
Yeah. Thanks for watching the show, everybody. If you're still on, and we have so much fun. Yes, we do. Yeah, I did. Didn't you?
Yeah. Yeah, it was fun.
It was fun. Those are wonderful people, you know.
Oh yeah. There might be more someday. Don't you worry.
Well, bring as many as you can on, right? Because that's, maybe they don't want to hear about them too much on the Real Country Radio necessarily all the time, but we want to hear it on the Comedeorological Radio Report.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
hit like, share, subscribe, come back around, tell your friends, and thanks very much. I'm Joey. That's Brandon. Bye, everybody.